Y'all, yesterday, I was hot about an argument that I absolutely made up in my head. I'm talking about full-fledged argument that had me oh, let's talk about it, y'all. This is Looking for My Fit.
You may not have everything you like, but I'm here to bring it light. Take a seat, join the ride. Elephant method goes down tonight. We'll bring the party right to you. If you wanna laugh, hear good news. Bring your friends, family too. Looking for my fit is what I do. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah.
What's up, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Looking for My Fit podcast. My name is Meek. If it is your first time here, welcome. I am so happy that you decided to press play. And if you are someone who has been rocking it out with me since the old days, y'all, I'm a whole 34 episodes deep. Let's go. I just want to say welcome back and thank you. I appreciate the fact that you continue to tune in and share and do all the good things. Listen, y'all. I was legitimately hot yesterday. I need you to understand, hot. And when I finally snapped myself out of it, like I had to ask myself, like, why are you feeling like this? The reality check was hilarious. I was like, me, you made this up. You made up this argument with this person. And not only did you make it up, you gave them good, like good comeback things to say. I mean, absolutely hilarious now. But yesterday, I did not see the humor that much. I also need to go on record and say I am undefeated when it comes to shower arguments. I have not lost one yet. I am crowned victorious every single time. Here's the thing. I know I am not alone. I am not the only person who acts out arguments in their head. Here are my reasons for doing it. One, sometimes I know that I may possibly be in a situation where I could be dealing with somebody who could be out of my control, who kind of rubs me the wrong way. And I like to stay ready. I like to stay ready. Stay ready. You don't have to get ready just in case, because I'm going to tell you, to me, I hate the regret of having a disagreement with somebody and thinking about something you should have said after the fact. I hate that. So sometimes I have to practice. Now, there are other times where I'm just trying to relieve tension. I'm human. And sometimes if I know I'm about to have an encounter with someone who, like, we just don't click like that, we just don't vibe like that, I will go ahead and, I'm gonna act it out in the shower. I'm gonna go ahead, say what I gotta say. And then I'll get a sense of relief. And then when we get around each other, we can have a great cordial time. That's adulting at its finest right there. Do you hear me? That's adulting right there. But seriously, that argument I had yesterday, poof, I let my argument go too far. But let me say this. I realized yesterday, once I legitimately was able to pull myself back, I realized what happened and why I even ended up in a space to be making up this argument in my head in the first place. Last week was full of so many emotions. Literally, emotions all over the place. I had some great things to happen. I had some not so great things to happen. I had some sad things happen. And they were all so compounded that I reverted back to my old ways of just close your eyes and get through it, which I know isn't my healthiest way of dealing with things, but it was the most comfortable way for me, which is not a good thing necessarily. I quickly reverted back to my comfort zone of do not process, think of solutions, push your way through, we'll be fine. And it was just like you know how somebody may go a while without eating something, like maybe they were eating something that really wasn't good for them, but their body, because they were used to how their body felt with it, they didn't even realize it bothered them. So for me, it's like rice, right? So I used to eat rice. I wasn't a huge rice fan. I could live without it. But there was a time where I realized that it just doesn't vibe well with my body. So I stopped eating it. And then the other day I had it and I was like, whoa. It was that type of situation. What in the world? Why do I feel so lethargic? Why do I feel so like bloated? And it was because my body was like, no, remember, we don't really do this anymore. And that was the aha moment that I had when I started to feel a little bit overwhelmed. It was because the place that I've evolved to was like, Meek, that was the old you, and that's just really not how you function anymore. So I had to sit with that yesterday, which I felt proud about. But let's give the backdrop of it. One, I shared recently that I broke my toe. And while I did find the silver lining in that, you can go back to No is a Complete Sentence. That was episode number 32. I talk about that. Even though I found the silver lining, again, I'm still human. And so I have some type of feeling about not necessarily being able to move the way I normally move. Part of my self care and self therapy, I use that loosely, that I have for myself is that I work out. I enjoy being strong. I enjoy testing my body to see what it can do. And now I'm having to test my body in a different way. So I can still lift and do all of those things, but I'm having to modify a lot. And while I'm still getting in a good workout mentally, it's just tough. So I'm pushing through that. So I already had that going. That happened about 3 weeks ago. Well, about 8 days ago, 9 days ago, I got a call early Saturday morning telling me that my grandmother had passed away. And that was one of those early morning phone calls that nobody wants to get. So I sat up for a while after I got that phone call and eventually, found the ability to go back to sleep. Then we got up and went on about our day. And later on that same day, my son had football practice. And I got a phone call from my husband saying, you need to meet me at the doctor because I'm pretty sure that Cam just dislocated his elbow. If you know anything about Cam, he is obsessed with football. I mean, anybody who knows him affiliates him with football. He loves it. He really does. And so I was sad about that, but also just about the fact that, that's my baby. And I don't want him to be in any type of pain. And getting to the doctor and seeing the type of pain that he was in. And I'm going to tell you, not to get gruesome, but as soon as I got to the doctor and saw it, I mean, you could absolutely tell. You didn't need the x-ray to know it had been dislocated. So we spent the rest of the day truly at the emergency room. We got sent to the emergency room because they needed to sedate him a little bit, give him some pain meds and muscle relaxers to help get that reset. So we had that going on. So then within that week, right, there were other things that happened. Now, again, not all bad things. It was just such a mix of emotions. And I was like on this crazy emotional roller coaster. One, I had the honor of serving as a coach in Patrice Washington's Committed to the Call challenge. You've heard me, again, if you have been listening for a while, I've talked about Patrice Washington in the program. My last episode, PBJ and I talked about it. She's just a phenomenal coach and mentor, and she had a challenge last week, and I had the honor and the privilege of serving as a coach, and it was a week-long challenge, and that was amazing. It was a great experience. I was there to help others, but in the midst of it, I ended up getting help myself, but it was some heavy work and it was a lot to dig into. A great experience that I was really excited about. But then on the other side, I was grieving the loss of my grandmother, and the funeral also happened within last week. Now, my brother, who you've heard me talk about his situation, again, some of you have to go back and listen, but he made a move to Seattle, which we expected. But when his fiance had a stroke, uh, and it happened, maybe a week before he was supposed to leave, that was a very dramatic exit. We were so worried about her and whether or not she was going to be okay. Of course, his priority was like get out there to her as soon as he could, and he did. Like he left that day, but when he left, he wasn't coming back, and we didn't really get an opportunity to truly say goodbye the way that we wanted to say because he's now on the other side of the country. And so when my grandmother passed away, my brother was coming back in. Now, I would much rather him be coming back over here to the East Coast for another reason. However, two things can be true. And I was happy that we were going to get to physically see him. So having him walk through the doors and getting to hug him and spend some time with him was amazing. But then his trip was very short. He had to go ahead and get back to Seattle on the day of the funeral. So it's like we're together, we're super happy. Then we go to the funeral, but as soon as the funeral is over, he has to leave and go catch his flight to get back to Seattle. And that's a whole other thing there too. And so I have all these emotions. I'm happy that I'm participating in the challenge. I'm super sad about the fact that my grandmother has passed. I'm happy that my brother came here. I'm not happy about why he was here, but super happy to see him. I'm very sad that he has to leave again so quickly. Also, I'm so grateful that Cam's arm, while it was dislocated, we found out it wasn't fractured. However, I'm really sad about the fact that he has to sit this football season out because I know how much he loves it. On top of that, I'm still at work. And in what I do, I pour into people. And even though I was going through something, I just, I turn it on for when I'm at work because that's part of what I do. And that's also part of operating my gift. And I work hard not to let things going on in my personal life affect how I function when I am training. Right. So I had all of that going on. And I just truly was in a sense of saying, just get through the week. I was just taking one day at a time. Okay, let's get through this. Okay, let's get through the rest of this day. I was in that space and I never really took the time to just process all the things that happened in such a short amount of time. So yesterday, when I woke up, I just felt, I don't know, blah is the best way that I can describe it. I really, for the first time in a long time, just wasn't in the mood to be peopling. I didn't want to, I wasn't in that space. I wasn't, which is really, really, really hard to navigate when what you do requires you to people and not just people, but to pour. And at that point yesterday, I just felt empty. I did. I just hadn't really taken the time to absorb anything. I can't describe it. I just felt off. And so anyway, I ended up within the day having an encounter with somebody, which really, y'all, wasn't even a big deal. It wasn't. So it wasn't even a it wasn't even a disagreement. I didn't even no words were exchanged that were unpleasant. Oh, this is what's so funny. No unpleasantries were exchanged. Oh, this is when I knew I needed to shut it down. But sometimes when you are in that space, and I haven't been in that space in a long time, everything irritates you. And that was something that PBJ talked about. She said, when you start feeling like people are stripping away from you and it feels like everybody's pulling at you, that is a tell, and it is telling you that you need to go sit down somewhere. And when I felt that, I knew I needed to go sit down somewhere. literally cannot help but laugh because I got irritated by something very simple. And even if I were to say it on here, you would be like, I do not get it. But that's how I knew it was my sign. I was so irritated by something that somebody did. And I really and truly don't think that they were doing it to irritate me, but man, later I was so hot and I turned that situation in my head into something way more, way more than it needed to be. Now, in my defense, I realized the space that I was in. Now, anybody who has worked out with me, I think they can testify to the fact that I can turn it on. So when it was time for the camps, hey, mic is on, energy is high. You gonna get everything I got. Let's go. But when that last camp was over, y'all had to go. And I realized that I was like, I'm just not in the space to really be interacting with people because I just knew my energy was off. My energy was just really off. So I thought about what Patrice said and I went and sat down somewhere. Just, came home, kind of just checked out for the day. I mean, I was here with my kids, which was good. But then again, I knew I needed to check out. So I checked out, but I still hadn't tapped into why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. Jordan, who's my oldest, she had volleyball practice. So get in a car to go take her to volleyball practice. Y'all, when I was coming back from dropping her off, I cannot even begin to describe the level of exhaustion that I felt. I am so serious. It felt like someone had taken a gigantic syringe, and stuck it in my side and then just sapped and pulled all the energy that I had out of my body. It was an unreal feeling. Not, hey, I'm sleepy or, hey, I worked out, I should go lay down. It was, I need to lay down immediately. It was that I was really in that place. So when I got back from dropping her off, I could not get to our bedroom quick enough to lay down. And when I lay down, I'm telling you, I don't even remember falling asleep. I woke up almost 3 hours later. I'm talking about hardcore power nap. And when I got up, I was starting to feel a little bit better. I got up to move. And that's when I said, Meek, you just need to take a moment and just take in all the things that happened last week because you just experienced a physical manifestation of you suppressing everything and going back to your old way of just getting through it. And so I sat there for a second and I processed all the things that had happened. Just sat in it and just really thought about how I was feeling and allowed myself to feel whatever I needed to feel, which felt amazing. Having said that, I was still irritated about my encounter. I was still irritated. And that was like the final piece that I really needed. But I, for some reason, needed to finish this argument. So in my head, we battled it out. We battled it out. Now, again, let the record show I am still undefeated. But man, that was not necessarily something that I need to do. And I'm sharing this to say distractions come in many different forms. And sometimes we think that distractions are always outward. We think they're outside of us. We think of a situation that may occur or someone who does something to us. We think of it in that way. But distractions can be internal too. And we have a lot of distractions that go on in our mind that we have to learn how to check. We have to learn how to check it. I'm going to tell you where my check came from. So I'm sitting at the table. I'm so serious, y'all. The feeling that I had was just like, whew, I was hot. And then Jordan said something to me. So this was later in the evening. Jordan got back from volleyball practice and it shook me out. I can't remember what she said, but like in my brain, I come out of this argument and I was like, you hold that thought. I'll be right back. What's up, Jordan? So she said something and she's showing me her videos from her volleyball game. And she is so proud. She's like, Mom, look at this. And seeing the look in her eyes and hearing her speak so great about herself and how proud she was of herself, I was so happy, y'all. I was so happy. So she's showing me these videos. And then I said, send me some of these videos. I wanted the videos. And so as she gets quiet, I have this little feeling ease back in. And I said, why were you feeling that way in the first place? And then that's when I started laughing. Oh, you're upset about your imaginary argument. And that's when I had to laugh. Meek, you made this up. You made it up and you use that as like your coping mechanism instead of just facing those problems head on. So once I said that and I had Jordan there, with all of her positivity that she's talking about herself, it felt good. And I was like, Jamaica, let this go. You're okay. You're not going to argue with this person. Don't have a reason to argue with them. Let it go. And then guess what happened? I said to Carlos, I said, I would like to invite you to a date. And he was like, okay, where? And I said, in our bedroom. Not that type of date. I invited him to watch Netflix, have a show. I don't know if y'all watch New Girl. New Girl's hilarious. And I stopped watching that a while ago. And so we started over from the beginning. And Carlos happened to be in the bedroom one day when I was watching it. So he started laughing and getting caught up. And so now I just don't watch it unless he's around and we watch it together. And he said, babe, I really would love to, but I got this work I got to get done. And he said, well, you should come downstairs and work with me. And I said, you know what? I should come downstairs and work with you. So he had his laptop and I had my laptop and we sat there. And here's the crazy thing. We weren't even saying anything to each other, but it was like he had in his AirPods, he was listening to something. I had in my AirPods because I had something I wanted to listen to, but I just really enjoyed being in his presence. Every now and then he would tap me and say something, or he would say, you want something to drink? And it was just nice for us to be in that space. And sometimes, you can spend time with somebody and it doesn't have to be doing an activity. You don't have to be in full-fledged conversation. And that's one of the things that I do appreciate about our marriage is that we can be in a room together and not be in conversation and still feel like the time is quality, because our lives are very busy. And so any time that I get to just be with him is always a good time. And y'all, the relief that I just felt so productive. I felt so happy because Jordan was happy and showing me stuff. The twins, Cameron and Peyton, were running around just, child, talk about twinning. They were doing all the things. But I took that moment to really just be grateful for family, be grateful for the chaos in the house, to have a full home, to be there, sitting with Carlos, being productive, getting some things done. It was good. And it was like at that moment I exhaled, like, okay, you're okay. But I really needed that processing of those feelings in order to get to that point. Now, here's the second part that reason that I'm even sharing the story. Again, I'm talking about distractions. And that was I had a mental distraction, right? And then there were other things going around me that were distraction. And what I know is I'm heading into a new season. I've shared this before. And I don't know what that new season looks like. I don't think it's meant for me to know right now. But what I do know is the way that you can feel right now, even though it's still been hot, you can feel that fall is coming. Like there's just a look outside. It just looks different. You can tell that while summer is technically still here, that fall is coming. You see the geese and you hear them and they're making their way down south. And you just know that time is coming. that's how I feel right now. Like, I just feel like I'm getting ready to shift into a new season. And if you've ever shifted into a new season before, one of the things that you know is like all the things will happen. Lots of things come up, and they can be distractions to get your focus off of that new season. Because I really and truly believe that a lot of times the enemy just knows that this new season that you're about to go into is about to be big. And so all the distractions are coming up in an attempt to keep you from moving forward into that new season boldly. So you have to just be mindful that the distractions are there. So I had plenty of them last week. And once I took the time, as PBJ said, to just sit down, allow myself to process, I was then able to move forward. So be careful out in these streets, y'all. And be most careful in your mind and in your shower, because that's where the best arguments go down. And just remember, if you have those, they are not real. You have made them up. Woo, so I will not let myself get caught up in an argument like that before. Now, again, I'm going to keep this undefeated record. And if I feel like I need to have it, I am. But I'm also going to know how to check myself not to truly get worked up over this argument. So if you were like me and you are a fellow shower champion when it comes to arguments, let's just be mindful to keep them right there in the shower. Okay. All right, y'all. You know what? I typically update and put out the podcast once a week, but sometimes y'all, I forget good stuff. And by the time I get to recording for that one, I'm like, what did I say I was going to talk about? So there is a possibility that you may get more than one episode in a week, which I think is a great thing. So you just hold tight and just know the one episode a week is definitely going to come, but moving forward, you might absolutely get 2 episodes in a week. Okay. All right, guys. Well, as always, thank you for tuning in. Stay focused, especially if you feel that shift coming in your season. Just know distractions are going to come. That's just a part of the process. But take a minute to just sit down for a second, process what you have going on, take it in, and then move forward with a clear mind. Okay. All right, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye. Listen, I can't have you all missing out on episodes. I appreciate you all being here, and I want you to stay here. So before you leave, go ahead, click that subscribe button so you'll be the first to know when the next episode drops. I'll see y'all then.
Looking for my fit is what I do. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my